Well, hey, Angel fans, and welcome back to Halo Territory. I am Mike DiGiovanna, former LA Times baseball writer and host of the show, and I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mark Trumbo, the former Angel slugger. Mark, how you doing today?
What's up, DG?
And if you're watching us on YouTube, you might see a new face there in the middle. Her name is Breezy Nowlan. Breezy, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you. In an effort to add some more fan perspective to Halo Territory, we're going to have folks like Breezy join the show every now and then. So, Breezy, how long have you been an Angels fan, and what got you hooked on this team?
Oh man. My dad has been a season ticket holder since 2000. Um, and my first memory of actually being at an Angels game was game 7 of when the Angels won the World Series.
Wow.
So it's been a long time.
So,
Yeah.
as the old song says, good times, bad times, you have seen them all. The Angels were, for a solid decade or more, one of the best teams in baseball. World Series title in 2002. Six division titles from 2004 to 2014.
Yep.
Lately, it's been a rough go of it. What is it?
Yeah.
10 straight losing seasons, 11-year playoff drought. How tough is it being an Angels fan right now?
It's pretty hard being an Angels fan, but I think it's worse being an Angels season ticket holder. I get more hate on Twitter about being a season ticket holder than I do about being a fan or anything else that I say because they just see it as we're giving money to Artie, and I keep having to explain to them we've had these seats for so long that if we decide to give it up, we go back in line and, our seats are right in front of the on deck circle in the Diamond Club. And I don't think that there's any better seat in the stadium. And so it's sure, I would love to, not be giving Artie money, but I also don't want to give up our seats. So, you, excuse me. So essentially, I mean, we have to just bite the bullet for the past few years of it, if one of us can't use our tickets, I post them on StubHub and at what we end up buying them for, and people wait until day of so that way we drop the ticket prices way
Mm.
down and then they'll buy them. And sometimes they don't even buy them. And that happens all the time for season ticket holders right now.
uh,
It's pretty brutal.
Well, that's uplifting. On maybe a little bit lighter note, today Bill Shaken wrote an article on Zach Neto, and there's a quote from Zach. We all know and we all believe that if we play with each other and if we play how we want to play, there's nobody that can beat us. How excited does this get you about the Angels' young core when you see a quote like this from what appears to be the emerging face of the franchise?
Um, I think that they want people to show up. I think that they're feeding off of the crowd's energy. I think that they've all, talked about going to other stadiums, especially Dodger Stadium, and, the electricity of playing there because of the crowd. And I think that they're willing to say whatever they need to say to make people come to the stadium. They don't want to play poorly. They want to show up and, play as best as they can, so that probably hopefully they can go to a different team. That's what I think that he's trying to do. I don't think it actually I don't think he believes any of it.
I found it to
And
be
if
a very
anyone Yeah, if
go-
anyone's believing that, I mean, they're just as delusional as Arte Moreno is.
very ambitious statement by the young shortstop. I will say that. But then You look at last year and they go 6-0 against the Dodgers, and I'm, the Angels were playing their game. They could beat anybody, but the problem is most teams can't put together 6 straight days of great baseball, let alone 6 straight months. And sure, when any team plays its best baseball for a period of time, you can probably beat anybody if you have the pitching. But I think the whole issue, and we've talked about it on the show before, is depth. You get on a hot streak, great. A couple of guys go down with injuries. Who's the 6 through 9 or 10 in your rotation? Who's the 4 through 8 in your bullpen? Who's coming in to play first base if Nolan Shanwell gets hurt? Who's playing shortstop if Zach Neto gets hurt? Who's playing third base? Period. These are all
Literally.
things. Yeah, with this team that I see so many issues with. But by the same token, the young core does have some talent, and Zach Neto he's one of the top 5 young shortstops in the game right now, and I think maybe because he's been around a little too long, not too long, but so long that he's not really deemed part of that young core. We can't ignore Joe Adele, who had a career year last year. He's only 26, and it took a long time for him to get here. But if he can build on that year, if he, I don't know that he needs another 30 homer, 100 RBI year, but if he can boost his OPS, reduce his strikeouts, repeat another year like this, I think, they at least have a couple of players you can build around. Now, Breezy, Arte Moreno made some waves last week. I don't know if you heard when he claimed, citing internal surveys, that affordability was the top priority for Angel fans, and winning wasn't even in the top 5. Do you remember getting any kind of surveys that asked these types of questions?
Yeah, I've definitely received season ticket holder surveys. And I was thinking about this a little bit this morning, knowing that I was going to be doing this podcast and reading his list. I think he has like a serious vendetta against the Dodgers. And if my season tickets were at the Dodger Stadium right now, they would be probably like 4 times the amount. And so it's almost to me like he so badly wants to like let everyone know that he's better because tickets are way, I think you guys even talked about this, like they're cheaper. It's not less expensive at this point. Like it's a cheaper experience. Um, but I think it's this weird vendetta with the Dodgers and I mean the Padres, but being a season ticket holder, I have so many Dodger fans surrounding me when we're not even playing the Dodgers. And I ask them, like, what are you guys doing here? And they're like, oh, tickets are just really expensive at Dodger Stadium. So if we
Sure.
want to go see a baseball game, we come here. We get front row for $100 at this stadium. Why would we? Um, so I think, and Mark Artie is a marketing genius. His career was doing billboards,
Yeah.
and I think that is his way of still trying to get money in his pocket and letting everyone know we're still affordable. But yeah, this picture is one of the screenshots I posted a few years ago on Twitter from a survey. And yeah, I, I definitely wasn't holding back. But to me, it's like, I don't even think that the team performance should have been third. I think it should have been first because at the end of the day, if the team's performing well, then I could resell our tickets easily. And I mean, the benefits they're all right, but I shared this with you, Mike, that other stadiums, I've been to a lot of other stadiums and they have much better perks if you're a season ticket holder
Yeah.
that we don't have. But I don't think that that's necessarily a bonus. I think team performance should have been top priority. And I think there's another screenshot as well.
Yeah,
Um,
we got this. For those listening on audio, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the following statements? The Angels are headed in the right direction on the field. The Angels have a positive influence on the local community. The Angels care about their seed holders. I'm excited about the players in the Angels minor league system. Now, you said this was from 2024, and
Yeah.
if you're watching on YouTube, you can see a pretty good trend here. Breezy, you strongly disagreed with all of those statements.
Yeah.
Fair to say you're not too enthused about things along those lines.
Yeah. I mean, but so that's my point of like, I think the way that he worded things in that interview, they make really like the questions are really not confusing, but they're misleading. I feel like they're trying to get people to um click certain things. So it's like, sure, if it's a mom who never goes to games or she goes to games for her kids, like she's not going to care about certain questions like this. Um, or it's just that's not really their priority. That's not, they don't care. They don't even know what the minor league team looks like, right?
Yeah.
But then of course he can use that and be like, see, our fans actually don't care about what's going on. So
But as
I think
far
he
as you
definitely is using
as,
misleading questions.
as far as you recall, and you've been a season ticket holder for a long time, spending a lot of money with the team, do you recall any survey where, hey, what are your top 5 priorities? Winning, affordability, blah, blah, blah. You never got a
No,
survey like that? Very
no,
interesting.
no. But I think that they configure based off of those types of weird answers and then say, oh, well, they care about this. And yeah.
Well, interesting stuff. It would be nice to know if that is the survey in question, in all fairness to all parties. But because it's the only one I believe I have seen, we have to assume it probably is. It seems very generic. And if that is the reflection, then, there it is. Maybe there is a lot of truth to season ticket holders and hardcore, people buy season tickets, I think, for a wide range of reasons, whether it's for their company, for their own entertainment, for whatever. So
Mhm.
maybe there is a broader net of fans, but I think on this show, the people that would be listening to a baseball podcast covering the Angels are not the casual fans. So very little of that probably resonates. If we could maybe get back to a slightly better or uplifting topic. But so far in spring, have any players really stood out to you and looked like they're doing a really good job, on the offensive side or the pitching side? And I need a prediction from you as, a strong Angels fan. Which player from the most recent 2025 draft, I'll say Chase Shores is going to be my pick, but we'll make their debut first. Who do you think? Will it be Bremner, Shores, Nate Snead, the power reliever? Do you have a prediction,
Oh,
or just Mike?
no,
Go ahead, Breezy.
I would say Nate.
Nate Shores.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you don't want to rush the starting pitchers to the big leagues. And even though Bremner
But
and
we
maybe
do.
even though Bremner and Klassen may be closer per se than the 2 relievers, I just think uh, you want to bring them along slowly. You want them to develop. You want them to gain maturity, command, durability. You don't want to rush them up to the big leagues and get their brain speed in. But I think with these relievers and Shores and Snead especially, uh, I mean, you think back to 2002. Frankie Rodriguez was what, 19 when he came up and impacted that team in September. Uh, Shores and Snead were major college pitchers at LSU and I believe Wichita State. Both of these kids have pitched in really high leverage environments, the College World Series. They're pitching in much shorter bursts. I think with guys like that, I think it'd be good for them to at least come up in the second half, whether you're contending or not, to sort of get their feel, get their feet wet, get the feel of the big leagues, be around a big league environment, because these are 2 arms that could impact this bullpen in the future for sure. And as far as position players, I don't know what games you're watching, Mark, but I haven't seen many games on my TV. But I will say
Yesterday,
I
we
did
were
watch
filming
yesterday's
today.
game with the Dodgers. Yeah, I did watch
I
that.
thought there were some actual highlights. I thought Nelson Rada, uh, for whatever reason, probably because we know the answer to it, but haven't seen a lot of coverage. But he looked a lot more physical to me than all the reports I've read. Everything has made him out to be somewhat of a undersized. I know he was very young too, but he looked the part. He looked like he is a ball player. He had a more muscular build than everything that I have read, and he looked very comfortable leading off 2 walks, nice drag bunt base hit, and he looked like he had a very strong arm playing right field. So that was he made a nice stolen base as well. Really good impression there, and then Ohapi with a nice at bat, ending up in a home run, and Perazo had some very nice at bats, resulting in solid contact twice, and he played a really nice shortstop. So I believe he would be my pick to back up Neto at this point.
Yeah, Peraza does look good to me as well in the action I have seen, and from what I've read, Mike Trout got down to first base in a pretty like his fastest time in 2 years the other day, which is to me both encouraging and somewhat concerning. Encouraging because that must mean the guy feels pretty darn good. A little concerning because I'm not sure I want him opening up the throttle this early in spring training. I think the last time he ran that time is when he hurt his knee a couple years ago. So, having Mike back, and we've talked about it on the show before, having him back in center field doesn't solve all your problems, but it certainly, improves that defensive alignment in that outfield when you can move Joe Adell to right. Breezy, anyone catching your eye so far this spring?
Yeah, I was gonna say Logan's bat seems like he's finally figuring out a little bit. It was so brutal watching him last year, and it was so funny. I was listening to one of your guys' episodes, and with their new hitting coach, and he said something along the lines of like everyone was giving Logan tips on hitting, and I will never forget. There was this guy sitting like a few rows behind me to the left last season, and he was hammered, and he was just screaming at Logan like, you need to wait for this pitch. You need to, telling him what to do. And Logan just turned around and was like, "Thanks, coach." And I was like, "Oh, oh, like normally they never turn around, they don't say anything, and it was like you could just tell he was so over hearing people giving him tips, and it's like, yeah, I'm well aware, like, shut up. And that guy was a season ticket holder, so I'm curious if he'll be back. But yeah, I think he looks a little bit more calm. And then I was gonna say Nelson Rada. I think I Swilly and I talk about him all the time. Like, we can't wait for him to be up. I think he's going to make a big difference. I think he has that same energy that Neto brought to the team when he came up, of just firing everyone up and making them want to play harder. Um, but yeah, I feel I mean, same thing. It's like it's hard to follow much of spring training when
Yeah.
they're not on the TV. So
You, you mentioned
yeah,
Swilly. I was going to ask about her. For fans, many Angel fans are familiar with her. She was a Angels content creator and parlayed that into a full-time job with John Boy Media, which, if you're a baseball fan, you know John Boy, and he's a lot of
yeah.
fun. He makes the game a lot of fun. I got to give him credit. How did you and Swilly first meet, and how has that relationship sort of evolved?
Um, I had gone viral on Twitter because of Carlos Estevez's grand slam where we lost the game, and I had said something on the lines of like, "Please, for the love of God," and it went crazy viral on Twitter. And she started following me, and I followed her, and she was like, "Hey, a baseball girl," and we both had season tickets at the time, and she actually gave hers up after that season, which was so funny. But she kind of had been like, like maybe it's not worth it, or not worth it, but just like she could easily go buy the same tickets online for cheaper. And so one day I wasn't sitting in my seats. I was in a suite with a bunch of friends, and I went down and I sat with her for like 2 innings. And I was like, dang, like this is really cool to actually meet a girl or woman, whatever, who loves baseball just as much as I do. And, after that, the season was just about to be done. And so we connected, a little bit over the off season and talked about baseball, about, the trades and what was going on and who we were going to pick up. And then we made a video, about the season starting, and it was just like it was the worst opener that we had both seen in so long. It was so embarrassing. Patrick Sandoval, I think, went like 1.5 innings, and we are like,
Oh.
oh, great, yeah, we're so back. And it was just like, we have very similar humor. We're both Geminis. And from that point forward, we went and saw a ton of games at home. We went to San Francisco to watch the Angels play the Giants. I'm trying to think if we've been anywhere else together, but now obviously she's with John Boy, so I went and visited her in New York. And we got to go see a bunch of Angel games. That was the series that we beat the Yankees 3 out of 4 games. Like you were saying, like we do play really well against good teams
Yeah.
sometimes. Um, and it's the weirdest conundrum, I don't understand it. And there's got to be some sort of science behind the mentality to me that maybe the Dodgers and the Yankees walk into it just saying, it's the Angels, we're fine. And then, either get swept or almost swept. So,
I got to ask you, you mentioned the term. What is the definition of a baseball girly, and how and when did that become a thing?
I think it has stemmed from Twitter. Um, I honestly don't know when it started to become a thing, but it has taken off over the last few months. I think it probably started last year is when I first started seeing it, but it was like, all of a sudden women realized that we all actually like baseball, and it's also really cool. Like if a girl wants to get into baseball, she doesn't really necessarily want to go talk to a guy about it because you're going to feel a little like undermined, or maybe they're just like, oh, you don't know what that means. And and when you're just talking to another girl, it's like, yeah, let me tell you exactly what this is. And my favorite thing in the entire world as a season ticket holder is bringing other girls to the game and watching them like ask me questions and falling in love with the game. And it's like it's not about you know what the guys look like on the field anymore. It's like, wow, I actually really enjoy this, and like I'm having fun. And then we end up winning, sometimes, and they're like the most excited, and now they're following, people on Twitter and Instagram, and just loving the game, like it's I think girls think that baseball is for men, and it's definitely not the case. And I think it's really cool to be able to see how many women are actually following sports.
All right. Now let's turn our attention to the World Baseball Classic, which starts this week. All of our Baseball Classic coverage is brought to you by our friends at Fox One, which is live. Stream all your Fox favorites together in one place, including all WBC games over the next few weeks. And after that, the best MLB action all season long. So, guys, the Angels have two frontline players in the WBC. Left-hander Yusei Kikuchi, of course, will pitch for Japan. And third baseman Yohan Makata will play for Cuba. Outfielder Matthew Lugo will play for Puerto Rico. Left-hander Sam Aldegheri will pitch for Italy, or as Sam Blum likes to call him, Sam Aldegheri. And right-hander Sammy Natera, Mark Trumbo's guy, he's caught Mark's eye this spring, will pitch for Mexico. Both of you guys, are you fans of the WBC? Do you guys watch it all the time? Where are we at with this event?
Yeah, I went to a bunch of WBC games in Arizona the last time, which was really cool. I had Freddie Freeman's wife was sitting like right behind me. I saw Trout's wife sitting in the section. Like it was so fun. There was nothing like it. I just realized I'm going to be in Houston next week, the same time as Swilly's going to be there. And, some of the games are going to be played, so I'm trying to look into if I can get back to it because it was a blast.
Mark, you a big fan of the WBC?
If the fans like it, I like it. I will usually watch most of the action that I can, especially at the end when the better teams are still in it. Although it is fun seeing some of the um, teams that you would not expect maybe to be able to compete as well.
Yeah.
And then some of the guys that have, I think it's always interesting who qualifies to play for who.
Yeah.
Because there are some, remember, ex-teammate Zach Britton would have qualified for the Dominican team. And I looked at him and I said, I didn't know he had any lineage there. I said, "You're not like I do. You're Dominican," but he in fact did qualify. So I think Great Britain would be the only one, and I would not even qualify. So
did you
I
ever
have
get
not played in it.
Did you
No.
ever get a chance to play in it or come close?
I'm going to say no. I have forgotten a lot, but if it was ran by me, I don't know. My personal opinion is I was way more likely if, let's say, this scenario had played out. I probably would have wanted to focus on the regular season. It's boring and probably not the answer everyone loves, but that was where my whole mindset was because that is kind of my priorities. And the Olympics are coming up, so my wife is really jazzed on that, and the prospect of the best players in MLB playing for Team USA. We've kind of debated, is that logistically possible? Will teams and owners be willing to let the best go for, and how would that even work mid-season? I'm glad I don't have to decide that. But as far as the WBC, I know the players are amped up. I have concerns, like everyone else, ramping up too soon because you want to win, and especially on the pitching side, can be a little nerve-wracking. Hitters, I think it's actually probably better because they're seeing some really good competition. Moncada looked a little rusty to me early on in the handful of at-bats. Take it for what you will. So hopefully he gets plenty of reps. Especially with the glove as well, and hopefully, the Angels players represent.
Yeah, I think if baseball and MLB can figure out how to do the Olympics to condense the schedule into 1 week, well, I think you cancel the All-Star or postpone the All-Star game that year. I think if you can do that kind of event mid-season, it's going to be a lot more representative of the talent, being in mid-season form as opposed to being in early spring training form. And I think that'd be a really interesting tournament. Not that, the WBC, I think, came a long way last time. And the way it ended was Shohei striking out Mike Trout. I mean, as far as drama in March, you're not going to get much better than that. But I certainly see your point, Mark, in ramping up too soon, especially for a pitcher, can be really dangerous. So it's going to be an interesting event to watch. So from the WBC through the World Series to the World Cup to NASCAR and IndyCar, with Fox One, you'll get it all live. Start your 7-day free trial today. Offers are subject to change. Download Fox One today and stream the World Baseball Classic live March 6th through 14th. Go to fox1.com for complete terms and conditions. Fox One, streaming now. All right, we're back with Halo Territory, and a correction from earlier. I do stand corrected. Nate Snead went to Tennessee. I don't know why I had Wichita State in my head, but he was a closer for Tennessee and a hard-throwing one at that. So, Mark, any closing thoughts on things that have caught your eye early in camp so far, or your ear?
We covered a lot of them. I did in the broadcast against the Dodgers. Rick Monday had some thoughts on Logan O'Hoppy's throwing hand and being exposed.
I saw that. Yeah.
As I am not a catching expert, I did consult two former catchers who I lean on quite heavily. One was on the show, Caleb Joseph, and Hank Conger, too. I was more interested in the late glove movement. As I was watching Reed Detmers out there navigating, I think that was a very mediocre performance by him. I would like to see a lot better pitch efficiency and not let some of those at bats go as many pitches and get rid of the walks too. But I know Ohapi had some late glove movement, and I inquired as to what was going on with that because as a pitcher, I assume you want to get a good look at the target. You don't want to telegraph it, and with the cheating and whatnot, I know. But apparently, it is intended to get the glove low and work upwards to steal those low strikes. But when you're, I don't know too many things where you're, for a pitcher, you're hyper focused, I believe, on a spot. Maybe you have to choose the shin guard or something else. But I don't like a lot of movement, and I could be dead wrong. But I do wonder if his is a little more exaggerated. And as far as his throwing hand, it must be a personal preference, and maybe he is just willing to roll the dice. But it is hanging out kind of in the open, and somebody that's seen as much baseball as Rick, he spotted it right away. So something to keep an eye on. May not be a big deal, but I'd rather see him stay on the healthy side.
That first foul tip into the old thumb will probably have that hand behind his back before you know it. I actually asked, I noticed that last year with the catchers bringing their, starting the guys in the line, they start with a glove almost pretty much on the ground, and then they bring it up. And I asked Logan that specific question, and he said, yeah, they're trying to bring the ball up into the strike zone to snag that low strike, as opposed to the, catchers in the past just set a target and hopefully you hit it. I'll sort of pose this question. We'll ask some people as we move forward toward the season. But Mark, with the ABS system, people think framing's not going to be as important, but you only get 2 challenges a game. So I don't. You suspect that style of catching is really going to change much, even though the ABS system is in place for this year?
I wish Sos was here to give a better answer.
Yeah,
we did. I tried to bring it up a little bit, but and he did cover it. I think you only have a couple challenges, so yes, they are still going to try and steal every last strike because catchers are lowlifes. And no, coming from a former hitter, they and the ones that do a very good job, you just give a look back, and then probably. A look. Actually, you're not supposed to look if you want to get some words in with the umpire. Best better is to look down and get your point across as opposed to turning around. But they're going to keep doing it. I'm tired of seeing. I think most umpires are very good anyway. The challenges have been a mixed bag so far. And one thing as a fan, well, I guess I am that now, or whatever I fit into. But without the lack of the box. Viewing the games, a lot of pitches are hard to tell, especially when the camera is slightly off angle. I got very used to watching games with that strike box, and I guess the thought there is you don't want to give teams an advantage on the replay side of it, instantly viewing and then tapping the helmet or however they do it. But a different viewing experience, and the way it used to be, Mike, maybe you remember those days, but sorry.
Well, I remember when a pitch up near your armpits was called a strike.
The rules book,
that was a long time ago.
Like that.
I know.
Yeah, so we'll see.
I have a question. Is the box not going to be on the app either?
It's a good question. I think it will be on the app. I don't see why it wouldn't, but unless they're fearful of the app being played in the dugout as well. But that's a good question.
Yeah.
We're going to find the answer to that question on the next episode of Halo Territory. Well, that's going to close our show for today. And Breezy Nowlan, thanks for making your Halo Territory debut today. We're glad to have you. Mark Trumbo, thanks as always. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time on Halo Territory.